YouTube? It's Fury again, back from the dead to upload a brand new deck profile. This time we're going to be looking at standard format Vanguard with my awesome hybrid Nova Grappler Riser deck profile. It mostly is Risers, but there are some things about it that a lot of Nova Grappler builds don't tend to do, but I did. Sorry about that. Just needed to correct the camera angle so I could have my deck in the whole entire center. My tripod's not really the best right now. I'm still running with this very tall one. I need a smaller one. Probably gonna need to go buy one later. Anyways, enough of that. Let's get into the deck profile. It's Nova Grapplers, it's Risers. This build is rather straightforward. I'm only running 2 Perfect Riser for the simple fact that at the time he was actually a little rather expensive, and the more I played other decks like my Dimension Police and Oracle deck profiles, coming soon by the way, just took up more of my time, and I really haven't had that as much time to care about this deck. So only 2 Perfect Risers, and even then Perfect Riser is the lesser of the important cards, as I will say. I might just buy 1 or 2 more. I don't know how you guys do it, but how do you guys feel about Perfect Riser in the deck? Leave your answers in the comments below. Anyways, that's it for Perfect Riser. The next card is my 4 beautiful copies of Origin Rare Ashura Kaiser. When I got back into the game, I only had triple rares, but this Origin Rare has fallen in price massively. This card's very affordable, because I can afford to actually play this deck high rarity almost. I just need to get an SVR Perfect Riser, which might actually happen if I change the build up. But there is a certain card I've, considered cutting for my 3rd, but I still also need to make room for a 4th Perfect Riser at that rate. So Ashura Kaiser is really good because, well, oh yeah, forgot to mention Perfect Riser. Perfect Riser is basically, these 2 cards are basically the cards that allow you to restand in the deck. This card definitely guarantees you a restand Perfect Riser. What you do is you counterblast 2, stand 2 rear guards, more if you have a Riser custom. More on that later. Now, the only reason I played this at 2, or at least the strat was, it was partially on a budget, and also the fact that Perfect Riser's cost is so high. Counterblast 2 in standard format is it's a very hefty cost actually, since this deck's countercharging engine isn't the greatest. Now with the Ashura Kaiser, the restanding focus is when you check a grade 2 or greater unit, you can restand for no cost. However, should you check a grade 3, like say Ashura Kaiser or Perfect Riser or any of the other cards in the deck, you can give this unit that you're standing an additional 10,000 extra power, so that's rather nice. Also, really love the, the aesthetic and feel of having retro cards. I might just buy more Origin Rares for my deck. Oh boy. I'm rather expensive. Only 1 copy of Battle War Fighter. I don't really like it. Thought about cutting it. Card's okay, because it's got that guard restrict thing where, oh, your opponent has to call 2 or more, but only on Vanguard. And this card is rather weak on the Vanguard circle. You either have to have like a Jet Riser or something behind it to be actually significant. This, again, is a big candidate for cutting out for the 3rd copy of Perfect Riser. Again, I cannot stress enough that I might actually buy a 3rd Perfect Riser. I really like this deck so much, I might actually do it. I have the money for it, anyway. Speaking of Risers, we've got 2 copies of Maximum Riser. This card is in here primarily for the deployment of the Excel markers. When you ride grade 3, specifically when you ride grade 3 on any of these guys, they all have the Excel marker, and you get a free Excel marker. It's an extra rear guard column, and it gives that unit an additional 10,000 power. And with this, that's like a 32k attacker, and with triggers, it just gets ridiculous. So they either have to take it, or drop a perfect card, or drop a ton of cards from their hand. One of those 3 things will happen, and this card definitely puts you ahead of the game. I cannot stress enough how much this card puts you ahead. That's it for grade 3s. On to the grade 2s. We have 4 copies of Burst Racer. This Burst Racer, what I like about him is he's basically a guaranteed restand. And when your opponent's at 4 damage, it's an extra 3k power, which makes him a 12k attacker on his own when you restand. Again, with the Excel markers being added to the game, this makes the game a hell of a lot more fun with the numbers that you can do. Especially, yeah, when your opponent being at, 4 more damage? Yeah, 4 more damage, and it being more, oh my goodness. This is the type of deck that just will not let up. It's kind of like Aqua Force. I mean, Aqua Force is, definitively, Aqua Force is a stronger deck right now, but I really like my Nova Grapplers for what they can do. It's an amazing card, like, nonetheless. Almost all the cards work rather, like, very well in the Excel zone, especially this card with its recently. If you have multiple of these on board, and you have a ton of open counterblast and a good amount of soul, oh my god, you're going off. When this deck goes off, it goes off. It goes off hard. Anyway, it's 4 Burst Riser. It's also a Riser unit, so, you know. Also, totally forgot to mention with Perfect Riser, you can actually countercharge with Perfect Riser if you have a Riser card in your soul. Huh? It's more aligned with the theme of Risers. We play 3 Iron Killers. It's a 14k attacker when you have 3 or more rear guards. That's actually pretty good, considering in the Excel circle, that can be a really good 24k attacker. This can be like a 22. Again, with the numbers you make in this deck and getting Excel markers, I'm very happy with the results that this deck has been delivering. You at least get 2 of them. I at least see a minimum of 1. I try to make sure I see 2 Excel markers every game and not ride into Maximum Razor. Yeah, actually riding into Maximum Razor is the worst thing you can do in this deck. I believe you actually auto-lose if you do that. Anyways, that joke aside, if you actually found a way to big dick this and actually win with Perfect Riser, let me know in the comments and tell me how that match went. Anyway, Iron Killer is amazing. 24k attacker in an Excel, 14k attacker on his own. But with the boost, he's also still really good. Boomerang Thrower. Boomerang Thrower is amazing because, like, this deck uses a hefty amount of soul and counterblasts, and Boomerang Thrower definitely helps with replenishing that resource. I have considered bumping Boomerang Thrower to 4 when, you know, I change the build up again. Like, if you want to copy this build, feel free, and you can, you know, make your own edits as you see fit. This is a really big part of the countercharge engine, especially since, like, if you have 1 or less open damage, you can countercharge 1, and if you have 1 or less soul, you can soul charge 1. And you definitely run out of that rather quickly with cards like Perfect Riser being a thing. It's only a 9k attacker, but what else are you going to do? You could put it in an Excel marker. I mean, hey, wouldn't hurt. Oh, grab one of these by accident. Only 2 copies of High Power Razor Custom. Most underpowered card in the entire deck. In my honest opinion, this card it's not really all that great. It's okay at times. You can call a Battle Razor behind it and get your unflips and that sort of thing in. Well, no, not unflips. It's a restander. It can restand anything you want as long as the attack hits, and you still have a Burst Razor on your board. Even if you call this thing later in the game and you ride High Power Razor Custom and keep your Battle Razor, like, Battle Razor is the closest thing we have to a Forerunner in standard format. Gosh, do I miss Forerunners. But this card lets you come back to your Forerunners by calling Battle Razor behind it. Now, a fair bit of warning, if you call this thing in an Excel circle, you'll be unable to call Battle Razor since there's no circle behind an Excel marker circle. But at best, you're going to get like maybe 15k, maybe more if you're on an Excel marker. This is 19 on its own. With triggers, you can get it to like 29. What is that? 25 more, possibly. Again, there's tons of ways to increase power in this deck, including Perfect Riser, which I believe gives you an extra 5k. There's multiple ways to go about boosting this. And the unflip, the payoff really helps, even though it's a counterblast in cost. This card's okay. I mean, I could cut it. This is definitely an optional card. You don't have to play it. On to the grade 1s, we have 4 copies of Jet Razor. Now, what I really like about Jet Razor is that this card, it's the first call. If you have this card in your hand and you're going for a big play, I recommend you call this card first and foremost. Do not call anything until you've called your Jet Razors, because they gain power when you call stuff. +3 for every rear guard. Yeah, that's a thing. And you can make ridiculously boosted boards. Next card is also a Razor. Tron's Razor. Tron's Razor is also a very helpful part of the countercharge engine. Its cost is rather high to use at the cost of Soul Blasting 2, but that doesn't really matter considering you have you can re-ride grade 3 all the time and also have Boomerang Thrower at your disposal to recharge your soul. And this card just becomes incredibly useful. It's very useful, even if you ride one. As long as you are able to have one and continually resolve it every game, it's really good. You don't want to have too many of them because, again, Soul Blast 2. But losing one by riding isn't bad. Losing one by Damage Zone isn't bad. Losing them all might actually put you behind, but hey, do whatever you can to make sure you have one of these on your board, hopefully at all times. That's it for Tron's Racer. And the final grade 1 of the deck is Riser Custom. This is actually my favorite card out of the whole deck because if you were to he has 2 abilities. One of them is that he can attack on turn 1, which is absolutely ridiculous in my honest opinion, because you can get that early game damage on the board. The only thing you have to watch out for when you attack with a Riser Custom on turn 1 is if your opponent pulls a draw trigger, you are like automatically out of the game. And if they guard it, they just lost a card out of their hand. They have to start with 5. It's bad. I mean, that ability's bad, but it's also bad if they if they play around it, that's bad. The only part where you lose is if they hit a draw trigger, and that's their draw trigger PGs. Although you actually kind of win by that in that way, because your opponent lost a perfect card, unless you're playing against Dimension Police or some other deck that runs just random 5k guard draw triggers. Off with that. We're done with talking about grade 1s. Oh yeah, other ability. Totally forgot to mention, this thing, if there's a unit in front of it that stands, it stands alongside it. Meaning if you resolve your Perfect Risers, your Ashura Kaisers, your Burst Risers, or your High Power Razor Custom, it doesn't matter. This thing is like, oh, you're standing? Mind if I join? And always does it. It's no cost. It's once per turn. It's always going to be able to restand. But only once per turn, though. So that's it for the grade 1s. Grade 0s. I don't really like front triggers, so my workaround is to run a critical. Really like the criticals in this deck especially, because with this critical pressure, and the fact that you can actually restand units and give them that critical pressure, it really hurts sometimes, especially if you put it on something like, let's say, Maximum Razor. Now, I cannot deny you guys your freedom to play fronts. I just don't really like them, and I just prefer critical triggers. Because they're criticals, and I've always never really liked, I mean, in the past, stands have been nice, but this deck stands all the time. And the front triggers can kind of work out if you're able to masterfully restand everything every single turn. I need more Perfect Risers. If I'm going to play fronts, I'm probably going to play more Perfect Risers. I might actually test fronts again. I have access to them. Then we also play 4 copies of Twin Blader, the Draw Trigger PG. Every deck runs it now. There's no need to ever run the grade 1 PG ever again because of standard format. This is going to be like the only video where I explain why Draw Trigger PGs. Probably. Hopefully. And 4 heal, because it's 4 heal. What do you do without 4 heal? Seriously, what do you do without 4 heal? Also, it's got the highest amount of guard power at 20,000. Like, the numbers have changed a lot since G format. It's been a while since I posted anything to this channel, especially with G format. I'm going to actually take my G format stuff off of private. And 1 copy of Burst Razor because it's a starting unit and works very well with High Power Razor Custom. You can run Tap the Hyper, but do know that you won't be able to use High Power Razor Custom if you do play Tap the Hyper. But why would you want to run Tap the Hyper? My goodness. And 6 Excel markers. I only have 6 in my deck box. If you can play as many as you want in your deck and keep them alongside you. I only really need to use like 2, but I have 6 because why not? And all I need to do now is just get a signed marker from Kamui, and this deck will essentially be complete. So, if you enjoyed this deck profile, feel free to leave a like on this video and tell me what you thought in the comments below. Expect more deck profiles out of me in the near future because I'm coming back to YouTube because of a certain friend, and this is the start of it. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in a later video. Peace. Oh, and one more quick thing before I finish off this deck profile. I forgot to show off the sleeves I used for my Nova Grappler deck. Oh boy, those are Kamui sleeves. They didn't make any new Kamui sleeves for standard formats, so I'm using the old one. And I like the old one. I've kept them in really good shape ever since I got them not long ago when I got the deck around Team Unite Q4. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you did, feel free to like and subscribe. See you guys later.